Okay, now the one I want to talk about here that we haven't really talked about is value-based. And for the farmer's market example, I'm going to call this the end of the day and possibly the end of the season. This is when you want to get rid of product that might otherwise be wasted, and you are going to cut the price. You're going to make it a high value product because you need to get rid of it. So I mean, not a high value product, but you're reducing the price because the product is not as valuable to you and maybe not to the customers at the end of the day. Premium based then is the if you have the best quality, if you have the best location, if you have the best marketing, if you have the best customer loyalty, then you're able to put a premium on your products. And again, understanding what you know about your customers. The more you know about what they want in the way of quality, size of product, maybe size of serving that they want to buy, the better you're going to understand pricing. And of course, you've already figured out what your costs are, and you've already researched your competition. And it's still not a science, it's still a bit of an art. Now, place, and we talk about the distribution system here. Are you selling to retailers at a retail location, for example, the farmer's market? Are you selling through distributors who are going to take your product all over the Northwest? Are you selling on your site, on your farm, or a roadside stand that is unique to your location? Do you have sales representatives that are selling for you? Maybe even mail order or over the internet, or maybe you have an innovative way to market your product. The price is going to be different for all of these different kinds of distribution systems. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how much you'll need to produce or provide and sell in order to break even. And we're going to use an example here with just one product, but you can use this same system with multiple products. The key is figuring out how you're going to allocate those fixed expenses. So again, before we talked at length about the difference between your variable and your fixed costs, and this is where those numbers come into an application for a system to say, you know, how much do I need to sell to make this work? And so I call this a simplified break-even analysis. And the break-even can be defined as the point of sales where a business breaks even, that is no profit and no loss. Your sales equals your expenses. So your revenue or sales or whatever you want to call that number minus your expenses is your profit and income. Sales equals all expenses at the break-even point, so there's no profit or income. And we've already talked about some expenses being variable and some expenses being fixed. So you've seen this example income statement before, where we have your sales less your variable or cost of goods sold expenses. Those are the expenses that go up and down according to how much you sell. So in order to produce more product like tomatoes, you're going to have to plant more tomatoes, you're going to have more seed expense, you're going to have more other types of expenses in order to produce that. So those are variable expenses, and then the difference between your sales and those variable expenses is your gross profit, and when we're talking about a break-even analysis, that's also called your contribution margin. And then we have all these fixed expenses that don't change a whole lot based on how much you produce. And then you have your income down at the bottom. So we're going to talk about berries here. I really like berries. Raspberries are one of the things we've grown for many, many years, and just enjoy eating those off the vine after work at night. So in the analysis of break even, we're going to look at this example where you sell berries for $10 a quart. And then your variable costs, we've got some labor, supplies, and marketing costs in there, are totaling $5.50 a quart. So the sales minus the direct expenses is $4.50 per unit. That's the contribution margin, because it is what is contributed from each quart toward paying your fixed expenses and profits. So the fixed costs are, we've talked about those before, things like rent, telephone, insurance, equipment maintenance, loan payments, and in this case those are $1,350 a month or $16,200 for the year. So how many quarts of berries is the big question do you need to sell each year before you start making any kind of profit? So we do this analysis where we take the $10, we've already taken the $10 minus the $5.50 of the variable costs, we have the $4.50 and fixed costs of $16,200, so we divide the $16,200 by that contribution margin, and that's 3,600 quarts per year that need to be sold in order to pay those break-even expenses. So you start making a profit when you start selling over 3,600 quarts. So that's the break-even point, is that $36,000 in sale at an average of $10 a quart. Now, when we're doing our analysis to see if this is feasible or not, can you produce and sell 3,600 quarts per year? And if it takes that much just to break even, how many more could you sell to make a profit? And how much profit do you need or want to make? So in this example, we're going to use $900 per month, or $10,800 per year is what is needed in profit off of those berries in order to meet your goal. So we take that $10,800 and divide it by the $4.50 contribution margin for each quart, and so in order to make that amount of profit, you have to sell an additional 2,400 quarts of berries. Now, again, if we're looking at a whole bunch of products, we would need to break down those fixed expenses and allocate them to the other products that you are producing and bringing to market. There's a lot of different allocation systems for that. One of them might be allocating by your amount of sales. One of them might be allocating even by your number of acres, and so there's different ways to do that. So again, we're analyzing our market now. How many potential customers do you have for the season? Where or what are they currently buying? If you're new to bringing raspberries to the market, what are they paying for those raspberries? Why would they buy from you instead? How many will buy from you, or how much will they buy? What price will you need to start at to average $10 per quart by the end of the season? And what will you do if that doesn't happen? What's plan B? So the total amount we're talking about producing in order to make that $900 a month is 6,000 quarts. Can you produce and sell that many? So we're going to look at the market. If you are at market for 30 days per season, that's going to require that you average 200 quarts a day. If you work 10 hours a day at marketing, can you sell an average of 20 quarts per hour? Is that feasible, or would you have to hire somebody, and then that makes going to add to your expenses? But if according to your costs that you've already calculated, is it feasible that you can sell that much? And then reaching your target market. So earlier in the budget we had 50 cents per quart figured in for marketing costs, and at 6,000 quarts that's a budget of $3,000 for marketing. And so you need to know who your best customers are, what kind of media possibly that they are paying attention to, and at a farmer's market that might just be the sign on the front of your booth. If you're having people to come to the farm, that gets a whole lot more complicated. And what is your message that you're going to say that's going to invoke a desire in your best customers to buy from you at your price? So now we're going to talk a little bit about market communication in kind of a general sense, and I like this example. It's one of my favorites. It says, if a circus is coming to town and you paint a sign saying circus is coming to the fairgrounds Saturday, that's advertising. And signage to me is a big deal. I think that a lot of people in business do not pay enough attention to signage. And so if you're at the farmer's market, sure, people are going to be looking at your product and how you display your product. Those are important. But signage, and that comes down even to the tags on your product, is extremely important. And I know Diane has some examples, and that is worth paying attention to. So if you put the sign on the back of an elephant and walk it into town, that's promotion. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about promotion. Another, I mean, elephant walking through town with a sign, that's a big deal. At least it used to be in the old days when the circus came to town. If you know Lewiston history, there is a story about the elephant getting loose, and it didn't turn out to be a positive thing. If the elephant walks through the mayor's flower bed, that's publicity. If you get the mayor to laugh about it, that's public relations. In Lewiston's case, the mayor shot the elephant. And if the town's citizens go to the circus and you explain how much fun they'll have, answer their questions, and they spend a bunch of money at the circus, that's sales. And I do not want to skip over that sales too fast, because what they have here is the salesperson explaining the circus, answering questions, and then closing the sale, and that's a big deal too.